everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Coco's Hair Solutions. My name is Sandy, and today we're going to talk about measuring your head for wig purchasing. There's a couple different reasons why we would want to measure our head. First of all is what size wig should we order? Well, there are measurements that you can take. You can Google them online to get an idea of what you need to measure. But Paula Young has in her catalog in the middle pages a little graph here that helps you be able to determine exactly what you need to do in order to find the right size. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go ahead and take three measurements: the circumference, the front to back, and then the ear to ear measurements. And depending on what those measurements are, we'll be able to determine whether or not we are a small, petite, average, or a large. And we'll go ahead and get those measurements taken care of. So what size do we wear? We'll get started with a flexible tape measure. Now, before I take my wig off and we start measuring, what am I wearing? Can you guess? I'm a big fan of this one. This is Jaclyn Smith's Chris in Silver Starlet. Comes rooted, and it's got lots of layering, and it's not real heavy. It's a very thin, lightweight wig, and you can look up and get it on Paula Young's website at paulayoung.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that first measurement. You'll take your tape measure, wrap it around your head, and bend your head so that it gets caught on the occipital bone. You're going to need to kind of guide it around your ears. And of course, you can see I have my hearing aids on over here. Want to bring that forward and then come right to my widow's peak and then overlap it, and where it overlaps, that's my measurement. And that measurement is 22. So I find 22 on my chart and I circle it. Now they don't have a 22, but they have a 21.5. That is the smallest measurement that will apply in that grouping, and that is for average. So I'm going to circle that. The next measurement that we want to take is the front to back. And again, we're going to start measuring it from that occipital bone area. And I'm going to put my zero right back here, right there, and bring that forward, and we'll bring it all the way to my hairline where my widow's peak is. That measurement is 14.5. So again, I look in the second column for 14.5, and average starts at 14.25. So I am an average in that particular measurement. The last measurement for this determining our size of wig is going to be the ear to ear. And I took my glasses off so I can get a more accurate reading. So I'm going to take the zero and set it right here at the top of my ear, right where my glasses would sit. And then I'm going to take it right across the top and go right down on to that same area where my glasses temple would fit. And that measurement is almost a 13, a 12.75. So if I look, we're 12.75. Okay, it's between it says mini to petite. Well, okay, but everything else says average, so we're going to go with average because I don't want to have it be too tight on me across there. So now that I know what measurement, or excuse me, what size wig I need to order, now I can start looking at measurements that are going to tell me a little bit more about how that style of wig is going to look on me. Now, the wig companies all list every wig has its measurements, and those measurements that they always provide are the front, the top. Well, let's see, I'm going to show you a different way. Okay. The front measurement, which is like the bangs, and it's right along here, this front part of the wig. That's where it would fit. So however long this hair is here, that's going to be the front measurement. You're going to have a top measurement, which encompasses usually where that rosetted lace cap is on the top of the wig. They also have a crown measurement. So that crown measurement, it goes from just before the curvature of the skull on down to this area. That is considered the crown, and that has a measurement as well. We have the upper back, which goes right to where the curvature of the occipital begins. We have our side measurements, which give us the length of any of the hair on this part of the wig. And then we have our nape measurement, which usually is going to come down to the neckline, and it'll tell you how long that is. And usually it begins in this lower section here, but it might include some hair that has been trimmed up into this area. Okay, so those are the measurements that you will find listed in every catalog, on every online image. Those are the dimensions of the wig, and that will tell you a lot, especially if you know what your measurements are. So I found that for me, I could go ahead and try and predetermine those measurements that I need, but the ones that really meant the most to me are the front, the sides, and the nape. Those are the ones that I find are most important, because I want them to cover my face. I want them to come forward onto my face. And I also want them to cover my neck. No matter what style it is, I want it to be able to cover. And it allows me to style my wig in a way that allows it more flexibility. So when I did my measurements to compare, what I did was for the front, I took, and I know that I set my wig about a 1/2 inch beyond my widow's peak, and I let that show. So if I take my 0 and I put it right about a 1/2 inch beyond my, and then I bring it down here to my eyebrows, I have a measurement of about 3.5 inches. So I went ahead and I recorded this on my little piece of paper here. And then the next thing I wanted to do was measure the sides. Usually, if I'm looking at a particular hairstyle, I want to know exactly how far or how long the sides are and where are they going to fit me. Now, if we want to pretend that we're going to be purchasing this wig, that's Dahlia by Paula Young, we will compare my measurements to this. But I want you to look at this and see what that looks like. It's a regular little bob. It looks a little longer. It's got a good bang and very smooth, which I kind of like those styles. So let's take a look at the sides. Now, if I begin, remember the sides are going to start right about here and go straight down. So if I take my 0 and come straight down, and I want my bob to be about this, about to my jaw, or a little bit past my jaw, just to make sure it skims and covers it. I like it about that long. What I've got is 8.5. So I record my 8.5 on the side measurement. And then my nape, this can vary. It looks like a pretty smooth transition on the nape of the Dahlia, but depending, it might have a variance or from like 2 to 4 inches, or it might just be all one length at 4 inches, or 2 to 3 inches. I know that I like it a little bit longer. So if I'm looking at a bob, I'm going to go right to the base of the occipital, and I'm going to go down past this little bump that I have here, just to make sure that it covers my neck. And what I have is 4 inches. So that's what I know I need my nape to be. So now let's take those measurements and compare it to the Dahlia. Now, if I look at Dahlia, remember my front, I want to be about 3.5 inches. It says here that the front is 4.5 inches on the Dahlia. Okay, well, that gives me plenty of length that I can trim it. That's not always very critical, but at least I know it's not just 2 inches. All right, then my next is my sides. That's going to mean a lot to me, because we differ in sizes in the length here, usually from here to here, or that side where the crown begins down to our jaw. And this says that the side on the Dahlia, the sides are 8.5 inches. Well, now if I look at this model, they're skimming her shoulders, and it's long past where her jaw is. So that's a red flag to me. That tells me that, okay, This is not going to look exactly the same on me as it does in the catalog. And you know, Paula Young uses all kinds of models. They all have different size heads, so they're all going to look different on them too. So, but this tells me that I know it's going to be pretty snug up here. It's not going to be long. It's not going to go down here. We also have different size necks, and that's another factor that goes into these things. Okay, and then the last one is the nape. I've got 3 inches or 4 inches, and over here on here that says the nape is 4.5. So I'm all set with the nape. I just don't have all that extra length here. So I'm going to grab the Dahlia. Okay, this is right out of the box. This particular one happens to be in the color Honey Rooted, and it's the Versa Fiber. So let me pull it on and adjust it. Yeah, I got it up there. And just finger comb it. Let me get that. Okay, so now we look at this wig and we can see, okay, that the sides come right to my jaw, you know, pretty much right here. They don't sit below. I do have a little bit of length here, but I think that's because I have pulled the nape down low. So let me put that back up where it probably should be. Okay, that's sitting up there, right at the base of my skull. And you can see how that has raised the back end of this. So you can adjust that with any wig. And I find that sometimes with the shorter wigs and with the wigs that have less hair in the back, I have a tendency to pull it down a little bit more. But you can see that although this wig, I like it a lot, but it doesn't look exactly like the picture in the catalog, does it? So you can see, it looks like more volume of hair. It's longer or fuller than what I have on right now. But I knew that it was going to be shorter based on reading the measurements. So you can see that things will vary a little bit, but if you know your own measurements, and especially if you're wanting to make sure that whatever is contoured around your face and your facial features, you'll want to be sure and look at those measurements and see how your measurements size up against what the wig is listing. And that should go a long ways in helping you avoid purchases that require returns, or purchases that you kind of don't like, or they just didn't work out right for one reason or another, but mostly because they just didn't fit you well, or they didn't look the same. So I hope you found this helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you like this, and hopefully we'll see you next time, okay? Bye-bye.